Okay, hello, you guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Expand and Evolve podcast. I'm your host, Carly Pinchin. My browser just gave out as I was already recording this, so hopefully this one sticks and allows me to share. But basically, I just asked my Instagram, I was like, what do you guys want to hear about? And I put it out there for like money mindset, dating, and all relationship stuff that I had learned. And I was just feeling called to talk about dating because I know for me, this is going to feel kind of vulnerable, like putting it out there of everything up until this point. But I just know that, like, as a single person, and I'll give you guys, just in case you've never been here before, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background before I jump into that. But I know for me, as a newly single person, being able to hear other people's stories and journeys would be, I feel like, could inspire you or like give you some positive outlook, because I feel like there's so much out there that makes dating in like as in this generation seem so horrible with dating apps and all that. And like I wanted to give some positive feedback to my experiences so far. So if you guys don't know anything about me, I was in my first relationship at like 13. I was in that relationship for about 2 years, jumped into a 5-year relationship or even 6 years from there. So that brought me to my 20s. Okay. I was never really single. I always had boyfriends. And then from there, when we ended up finally breaking up, I honestly don't even know if I was single for more than a couple months, not even maybe a month or two before I'd already met someone else and was hanging out with them. And it kind of like merged into yet another relationship. And so that happened. And then from that relationship, when I finally left that one, because I knew things weren't right, I had already spotted Daniel, who's my ex-husband, in the gym. And so because I had already spotted him, I already had a like someone to replace him with, or like the other guy with, right? And I feel like this was my major pattern through my whole life, was like, I need to make sure I have someone to replace the person, or like, I don't want to let go of this comfort. I don't want to let go of this partner until I know that there's somebody else. And so this is what I did literally from 13 to 31. Okay. That's a massive portion of my life that I was jumping from relationship to relationship. And this is the first season I've ever been single in my entire life. We're almost at a year that I've been single, and I'm finally dating for the first time in my entire life. So I had never dated before. The first date I ever went on. And like, obviously you get to know someone and like maybe you're friends and you're hanging out, but it's like, I've never dated in the sense of like, I can go to dinner with one person, go see somebody else. Like, I dated the guys I was in relationships with. That's different. Okay. That's not the same thing. And so this is my first time truly dating, where like you meet someone once and maybe you never meet them again and you just like enjoy a dinner together. So I went on my first date in January with somebody who doesn't live local. And so like we went to dinner. It was an amazing date. Like we had so much fun. The conversation was great. And it made me not so afraid of men. So if you're afraid to get out there and start dating, I just want to say, like, not every experience is going to be horrible. Like there's so many like things out there on TikTok that I've seen about like horrible first date experiences. I've yet to have a horrible first date experience. And maybe that's because I've never just gone out with someone that I haven't really connected with first. So even the person that I first went out with, I literally saw one of his videos on TikTok, you guys. And it was after one of my mushroom journeys. I saw it and I went, what the hell? Like this guy, the way he was walking through the airport resembled like this vision I have of when I'm meeting my future husband in an airport. And so I was like, wait, I don't know why, but I'm feeling pulled to this. And then it happened again. So like, whatever, nothing happens there. But then I see one of his videos again. And I'm like, okay, why do you keep popping up for me? This is so interesting. So I was like, okay, clearly there's something going on here. So let that go. Like we kind of follow each other back, message here and there, but like nothing crazy. And then I had a dream about him. And I think I talked about this in that episode. I don't even remember. I had a dream about him and I went, what the frick? Like, why is this guy in my dreams? Like, this is crazy. And so I messaged him and I just said, okay, I don't know if you believe in soul contracts, but like, you were in my dream and I don't know why, but like, this is showing up for me. And he's like, yeah, because we're supposed to meet. And he's like, I'm going to be in Vancouver. We should get together. And so I was like, okay, perfect. So we ended up going on a date. It was super fun. And that's like, we haven't really talked that much since. And like, honestly, I don't know if I'd ever want to pursue anything anyways. But I just want to say it was such a good experience. Like the date was really good. We had so much fun. We connected. It was easy to talk to like each other. And that's it. And like I realized, because I think I had a fear that if I go out with a man alone, he's going to push himself on me and I'm going to be stuck in a situation I can't get out of, and like forced to do something for them, forced to like be sexual or kiss them or do something that like maybe I don't want to do. And so it showed me that like I can be with someone and like don't have to be physical. Like it cannot be that. And I gave signs early on in that date that like that was not going to be a thing. And he was so respectful of that. And like, you don't even have to say anything. It's just like body language, you know? And so anyways, I just wanted to say that that was a really good first date. And so I was in Austin and I ended up going on my second date of all time. So I wanted to kind of give you guys like also the gist of how that went down because I was there. There's a couple guys. So I've had my Hinge set to Austin. I have two dating apps. So I have Raya and I have Hinge. And I haven't met anybody on Raya yet. Like there's some people who message you and connect, but like Raya's weird. It allows you to message them first. But I'm like, my husband is going to message me. Like I'm not going to have to message him first. So no matter who I've matched with, and some of them have been super cool people, if they're not going to pursue and message, like it's all good, you know, like I'm not going to pursue it either. And it's linked to Instagram. So it's like technically you could message me on Instagram, you could follow me there, we could connect there. And that's something that I'm going to say is like, I've seen so much shit on TikTok that's like, if you want to date me and you're a high value man, like take me to the fanciest restaurant, take me to do all these things. And if you don't do this list of these 25 things, like you're not worthy. And for me personally, like I know I'm of high value as a female. I know that. And I don't even know if I would want a dinner like that for my first date. And here's why. Because if I had to get all dressed up, like the fanciest of fancy, which honestly isn't me, like, can I do it? And will I dress up like that? Yeah. Is it super fun sometimes? Yes. But do I exist like that? Most of the time, no. So it's like for me to get dressed up, play this role that is not actually me in day to day, then they have to do all this shit to like wow you on the first date. I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest my time in a full dinner with you and vice versa. So for me personally, I'm like, I appreciate and I don't mind like how they're like, oh, make sure you get their phone number right away and you should be calling them right away. And like none of this pen pal stuff of like messaging back and forth. And for me personally, I like that because it's made me way more comfortable. The two guys that I have met, I felt comfortable meeting them because we had messaged a little bit back and forth through like Instagram stories. So you're kind of like the same way I see it. So in business, like we do relationship building. Okay. And I'm going to get your vibe and see if like this business could be a fit for you or like if it's like worth building a friendship with you based on how we vibe. And like a lot of the time I connect with new people through Instagram stories. It's like I see your stories, you see mine. We're starting to get to know each other before we even have to take the step to go meet in real life. And I've made friendships this way. Like I have people who we literally hit it off through Instagram, message each other, watch each other's stories, end up taking it off Instagram. It turns to voice notes. Then we build a connection through voice notes. Then we like become besties and we're like, oh my God, we need to see each other in person. And then you already feel connected when you're in person. And I appreciated that. Like for me, I think it allows me to read the person better and be more trusting than like a random guy that I know nothing about. I'm just going to go meet you for dinner. Like, especially when I'm like, I have kids, I have a life, I'm busy. If I don't know anything about you, I'm just not like, I am not about to go sit in a dinner with you when I don't know, like you could kill me. You could be a murderer. Like I want to have a little bit of a vibe check before I go on a date with you. And that's just, to me, I don't think that's high value man, high value woman. That's just like a fundamental need based on getting to read someone a little before you go invest time meeting up with them in person. And so some people may feel different about that. Some people may feel like they want this person to come, like invest all this time and money in them to like wow them right away. But like, I also get the guy side where if a guy is having like going on all of these dates and expected to like do all this shit the first date, I'm like, that would be so tiring. And like, you wouldn't, I just see how many women don't appreciate it. Like it's expected. And I'm like, to me personally, I'm like, you don't really deserve anything right away until it's shown that you're someone that they value and want to put effort and money into. Does that make sense? So it's like, obviously, like I still think like on a first date, I would never offer to pay, never in my life, especially like the role that I came from where I'm like, I'm never going to financially take care of a man like that ever again. Like it doesn't work. Right. And so it's like, if you're going to go on a date and the guy's not willing to pay on the first time, like I'm not doing that split the bill shit. Like here's the thing too, like if you have those beliefs as a man, you're not my man. Like my man's not going to be like split the bill with me. Like that's weird and just not the type of person I'm looking for, where you could be in a position where maybe you're totally okay with that and you believe in doing 50-50 on that stuff. And like, that's great. But for me, that's not what I'm looking for. And so obviously like the guy can pay, but it doesn't have to be something crazy. And so anyways, we ended up meeting up. We were going to go for dinner at one place. Everything was super packed because it was South by Southwest. So I was just like, come meet me downtown. Let's like go walk and find something to do. And I liked this because it's like, if right away when we met, it was like, we can't even freaking talk to each other, then like, I don't want to go sit across at a table and like have dinner with you. So we ended up walking to like this bar. It was more casual. I was like, okay, what's the vibe? And he was like, chill. And I was like, perfect. I got to wear sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt, which I'm like, this is great because then we can walk around comfy. I don't have to wear heels or any of that shit. And I'm like, we just got to know each other. So we ended up sitting down at this little bar place. And literally before we knew it was 7 o'clock, we weren't drinking. We literally drank water and fizz for like the first 4 hours. And we just sat there, ate tacos, and talked. And then all of a sudden 4 hours had passed. And I was like, okay, you know what? I could totally go for a margarita. And he was like, cool, I'll get a drink too. So we had a drink, and I liked this. And I think this is important because I was like, I don't want to just start to get to know you drinking alcohol, because like you can like anyone when you're drinking alcohol, and people become more attractive. And for me, if I drink tequila, I immediately get like, I want to have sex. So I was like, if I just start drinking right away, I'm already going to be more into you than like really getting a vibe for you sober, you know? So I would recommend like try to do things where you don't have to drink, because it's like, if you can get to know them sober, I feel like that's so much more valuable. And so anyways, we hung out sober almost the whole time. Like no one was drinking. And then we ended up having 2 drinks there, and then the lights turned on and we were like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell just happened? We met at 7 and it was like midnight and the place was closing. And so we are like, okay, I guess we got to go. But I'm like, even that just shows like there was no rush to go anywhere. We actually enjoyed each other's company. We weren't rushing to go somewhere else. And like, I know there would be a situation where you're like, okay, yeah, like we're done here. There's nothing else to like do or talk about. Like we're ready to go. We weren't. And so we ended up walking around downtown. There was like so much going on. Every club was freaking packed. And so we ended up walking down past this other place and we were like, should we just go in here? And I was like, yeah, let's just like go get another drink, because now I'm like kind of vibey, right? And so we ended up getting one more drink. We were talking. It was so fun. Like I just remembered right now, we were in there together. And like, this is another thing. So some pointers that I'm going to say that I really appreciated about this date was when we walked in. So when we were walking to the place, I kept going on the outside of the road. And this is something that I had in a past, like, I don't know what you call it, a situationship, I guess. I'll also feel called and I'm ready to actually share that story with you guys. So I will record that when I have more time, because it's going to be a heavy one. And it's just going to bring up a lot. So I promise you, I'm going to talk about that story soon. So anyways, something that he did was when we were walking, he would pull me into the middle, like not away from the road. And I remember going like, what the hell? Like, why are you moving me? Because, you know, I was like, so like, I can do everything myself back then. And he pulled me into the like inside of the street. And I remember being like, why did you do that? And he's like, because you're a woman. Like, you can't be walking on the outside of the street. Like, I'm going to be on the outside of the street. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I didn't know that guys do that. And so I really liked those teeny little things. And so when we met up, I was walking on the outside. And I think this is also like from being a mom, like you always walk on the outside with your kids on the inside. But I did it like 3 times where like I'd be on the inside and then like people would be in the way. So I'd move and then I'd end up on the outside. And it was like the 3rd time he was like, what are you doing? And he like moved me to the inside. And then he was like, I did it again. He's like, oh shit, like I should definitely be walking on the outside. And he like moved me to the inside of the road. And so, or the sidewalk. And then we were walking and I did it again. And he was like, you just love being in your masculine, huh? And I was like, fuck off, like whatever. And I was like, I don't know why I keep doing this. And then he moved me into the inside again. And I was like, little things like that. And maybe I was doing it honestly, subconsciously as a test. Because I'm like, if you're not going to like know those things, now that I've received that type of treatment, I'm like, no, I want you to do stuff like that. So I don't know. But anyways, he did that, which I was like, check. Then when we were trying to decide where we wanted to go, I was like, I don't know, like wherever. And he gave me like 2 options. He was like, okay, we're just going here. Another check, because I was like, I appreciate him asking me what I wanted to do for feedback, but also like just pick it and I'll go wherever, because I don't want to have to think about it. Right. And so that was another check that I was like, okay, this is great. Ended up going inside and like he was able to order. And then I went to go get water. Like I went pee and I was like, I'll grab us water. And he was like, sit down, I'm getting us water. So little things like that, where I was like, because I'm so aware now of masculine and feminine energies, for one, how relationship dynamics work, the things that I overlooked in the beginning, of all my other relationships, I'm really noticing the little things now because they really do matter. And all of those little things, I was like, okay, these are great little things that like, it's not really about the big stuff. It is about those little things. And so anyways, we had that happen, sat, ate forever. Then we ended up leaving. I'm like, the conversation was good. Like the banter, this is something else that like, if you're quick, witty, funny, and also have a little bit of dark humor, like you need someone who can match you. And we were able to talk about like like funny stuff, and it was easy. And I think that that's really important because I'm like, if you go out with someone who's super dry and like you're funny and they can't like catch on to that, how are you going to be in a relationship with that person? And this is what I'm learning about the value of dating different people is I'm able to start seeing different qualities and characteristics that before I always used to be like, but I can only date one because like I feel like that's the loyal thing to do, right? Like if I'm putting my energy in you, I'm not about to share it with a bunch of other people. But I think it's like right now I'm realizing because I ended up going to lunch with a different guy the next day, okay? Or like the day after, I don't know. And anyways, I was able, and like even comparing to the first date guy that I went with, right? And I'm able to start comparing things that I really liked and things that I didn't, and things that are helping me remind me of my standards. And like I have my PPV list. If you guys have not listened to that episode and you're single, freaking do this. And even if you're in a relationship, do it because it will help you see where your current partner lands for you. And then you guys can do what you need to do to like start shifting whatever you need to shift to like make your relationship better. So I will link that in the show notes for the PPV list. So anyways, why does my hair look so greasy all of a sudden? Anyways, so what the hell was I saying? So I was able to start noticing things that I like, don't like, qualities, all the things. And so my first date, something that I'll say is the communication, the text communication was shit. Like so spotty, not super quick, really short. And I was like, I don't like this. Like if we can't vibe on text, like I don't want to be in a relationship with someone where our texting is weird. Like I need you to be able to text quick and like get each other over text. And so with this guy, it was so easy. Like literally, it was so funny. Like before we even met up, I guess I had told him originally like 7 or 8 because I didn't know what the days were going to look like. And so originally I had told him meet at 7 or 8. I get out of the session at 5 and I was hungry. And so I was like, hey, I'm available now. Like, I don't know if you can make it work. And he was like, okay. Like originally you said 7 or 8. I was like, oh, I'm like, can you come earlier? He's like, are you hungry? And I was like, yeah, I am. And so even that, like being able to know I was hungry through my text message, we don't even know each other. He just was able to be like, this bitch is hungry and she wants to eat. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And so he was like, okay. He's like, I'm kind of a schedule guy, but it's fine. Like I'll get my shit together and I'll come down there as soon as I can. And so even that, like being able to quick read and like me be able to joke with him on text and he gets it. And even when he was like trying to park, I'm like, excuse me, it's been a really long time. I'm waiting for you. And he was like, I know. And like, I was able to just call him, like have him on speakers, talk to him on the phone first, like felt comfortable. So I wasn't nervous going into it because like we kind of already knew each other a little. But we really hadn't talked that much before this. But I felt this pull again. It's like I just follow those pulls to whoever I'm feeling pulled to. And I did. I felt a pull to him when I knew I was coming to Austin. I was like, I need to meet this guy. There's like a bunch of different guys that I've matched with on Hinge and like we've talked sort of like might follow each other on Instagram, talk here and there. But like him, I was like, no, I actually need to meet this one. And I didn't feel like that before. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to that. And anyways, so we hung out, ended up leaving the restaurant and walked into a bar, got a drink. It was really funny. I was like, did you know I'm like 2 different people? And I was like showing him this side of my face versus this side because like they're different. I'm like, I look like a different person. And then anyways, we ended up leaving. We started walking. I have my full greens here that I'm like, that was a bad idea to make first. We ended up walking and then I was like, let's go walk down here. It's like these dark trails. And I don't know at what point, I guess I went on the outside of the road again. I don't remember exactly, but I swear that's what happened. And I went on the outside and he literally grabbed me and put me in front of him with both hands. He was like, if you do that again, we're going to have a problem. And if you guys know me at all, it's like I can be a really sassy, powerful personality. Being put in my place, I don't think there's anything I like more. Like I was like, this is the best. And so I was like, yes, sir. No problem. I'll stay on the inside. I'm like, and if you're a girl, like we need that. We do. And it's like guys need to be so firm and confident and willing to do that, And so I really, again, another check mark. I appreciated it so much. And he had told me beforehand, because I ended up telling him, I was like, I think I had a fear of men. Like, I think that's why I was afraid to go on dates. And like, I had been talking to him, I think, about it before, maybe. I don't know. And he had told me, like, oh, I have a like strict no kissing on the first date rule. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. I'm like, is that a thing? And he was like, no, it's not a thing. It's just a thing that I have. And I was like, okay, I like that, because I'm like, it alleviates the pressure of thinking like somebody's going to try to kiss me. And then whatever, we were walking and all of a sudden something happened. We ended up making out and it was like the best. It's gonna be so weird if he ends up listening to this, because I'm gonna give like all the deets away. But anyways, he ended up kissing me and I was like, I literally, you know, when like some kisses are weird, this like felt good, like through my whole body. Like I could feel the connection and the chemistry, and it was good. I was like, okay, I want to do this more. And like, I would do other things right now too, but like, I'm not supposed to. I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, I've never had this before. I've only dated guys who are my boyfriend. So I'm also like, okay, I like, now I want to sleep with you, but like, should I sleep with you? And like, what do I do? And this is so weird. And I'm doing mushrooms in 3 days. So sleeping with you is not even an option anyways, because you can't before you do your medicine journeys and stuff like that. So anyways, we make out, we keep walking. It ends up happening once again, I think, too. And we're like walking on a dark path. And he's like, wait, like, what are we doing down here? And I was like, I don't know. I thought it would be fun. And he's like, no, we're not going down this dark path. Like, we're turning around. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know. I was like, I think it's fun. And then he was like, well, you could be like, hurt me. Like, you could be luring me in. He's like, are you luring me in for like a witch? Something, or I don't know. And I was like, this is so funny. Like, no. And he's like, it's crazy because he's like, I could have been like, could have like murdered you. He told my friend this the next day. And I was like, this is so funny because it's true. Like, what are we doing walking to a dark path? I don't even know you. But I feel like I trust my intuition so much that I'm like, I can get a read on energy. And I knew like he was totally safe. So anyways, we ended up walking back, and then we hugged and we kissed goodbye. And I was like, I could never see him again, or I could. I don't know. Right. But I ended up saying to him, like, you lied to me. You told me you don't kiss on a first date. And he was like, I don't know what he said. And then I was like, well, it's fine because it's after midnight. So technically this is like our second date now because it's a new day. And you know, it's different. Like, I think had we had just sat at dinner and like left after 3 hours, that we wouldn't have felt as connected or like even a pull to kiss. Because it's like in the beginning, we were sitting apart, just talking. And then obviously as like time goes on, then we wanted to be beside each other and wanted to get closer. And so it's like, it's all just based on the energy of it. Where like, we didn't really have that on my first date. I mean, we were sitting right beside each other and we were like close-ish, but it was, I don't know. We like held hands. He like read something to me and it was super cute. And we like held hands on my first date, but that was it. Like, there was no other really closeness. We hugged, whatever. Where this one, yeah, I ended up making out with him. So that was really fun and adventurous for me. And then what else did I want to say about that? Because yeah, I think just like really paying attention to the types of stuff. And like, we got into deep conversation right away, which was nice because I'm like, I can't do like the surface level stuff. Like, it's not fun for me. Um, and we were able to talk about serious stuff, not serious stuff. And like, the conversation was good. And I'm like, that's something that's super, super important to me. And then, like I said, if you guys have been watching on Instagram, I don't know what was happening, but all weekend I was like a magnet, and energy. Like, it was just, I felt, I don't know. I just kept getting compliments and people were like, you know, when there's just, it's that who's that girl vibe. It's like, I could feel that people were feeling that from me. And I'm like, what is this like pheromones I'm giving off? I don't know, but I could feel it. And so there was another guy who is in like, was at the intensive, and we ended up going to get juice one of the days or whatever. And like, we were talking about a bunch of different stuff. And like, I knew him kind of from before. But as we were walking back, I could tell we both kind of felt something for a minute. And it was just like, whoa, what was that? And so I just let it go because I was like, weird. Obviously, I'm feeling like I could have sex because like I'm getting these signs with people. And anyways, he really felt it. And he was like, okay, I want, and then after we left, he like messaged me. He's like, I want to talk to you. And he wanted me to come down to his hotel room. And I was like, I'm not going to come to your hotel room. This is a different guy. Okay. And I was like, I'm not going to come to your hotel room. But then I'm also like, this is so weird. Like, should I go talk to him in his hotel room? Like, I could go talk to him in his hotel room. And this was before I'd gone on that first date also, by the way. So this conversation happened before the first date. And I was like, no, I'm not coming to your hotel room. But like, whatever. So then I see him the next day. We kind of keep missing each other. He's like, no, I really need to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. And then that night I went on a date, obviously didn't reply. I thought I'd be done by 9. Okay. So I had messaged him. I'm like, we can totally chat after. Like, I'm just going to dinner with a friend, like, because I didn't know what it was going to be like. And then I didn't end up replying, obviously, because I got home at 2 a.m. So yeah, originally I was like, oh, I'll hang out with him for like 2 hours. No, we hung out till 2 a.m. And so didn't say anything. Then I go into the relationship intensive again the next day. He's there and he's like, okay, we keep missing each other, but I really want to talk with you. And I was like, okay, we can go to lunch. So that we can like talk there. And so basically, I guess that's kind of like a date, right? It was with a guy alone. He kept asking me to go out. So we did. We had lunch together. It was really good. And like what I'll say is we're super on the same page. Like we have a lot of similarities in our journeys and things that we were noticing about each other through the relationship intensive. And he has this thing where he wants to sleep with everyone who's pretty. And so he was like, I instantly like obviously want to do that with you. And we were able to talk through it all, which was also really nice. Like being able to like no bullshit say exactly what he was thinking and like sharing it all with me and vice versa. And like we just had a lunch and it was great. But like something I noticed even there, and this is where the value of dating obviously comes in and like meeting new people, is I was like, okay, on paper, obviously his awareness around relationships, like I love it. Like that's what he talks about on Instagram. He knows a lot about it. And I'm like, I like that we can have those conversations back and forth, right? And like physically, he's super cute. He's a good looking guy too. But even in our conversation, I was like, I didn't feel the same level of connection or safety. Like I, with the guy I went on the like long date with, I felt so safe. I could have like fallen into his arms and like been so comfy with him. I didn't feel that same feeling with the other guy. And so even though he like knows a lot, I didn't feel as connected to him through all of it. And then that's when I went, oh fuck, like is this what happens when you end up going on a date with someone that you kind of like? Because now I'm like, how do you keep dating other people? Because now I'm like, I kind of want to hang out with him again. So whatever. Went to this lunch, and all I can say is like it was really great, good conversation. I went with no makeup on, which also is kind of cool when like you can feel that comfortable in yourself that you're like, yeah, okay, we're going to lunch, whatever. Like let's see how it goes. Because I already knew he was interested. So I didn't feel like I had to like put a face on or be something I'm not. And that's a compliment I've actually gotten from both guys. My first date guy and now second date, third date guys are like, you're just who you are. Like there's nothing, like you just fully are here as you are and who you are. And I can like feel how genuine your heart is and how caring you are and like what a good person you are and all these things. I'm like, thanks. Like that's a great compliment to be like, you're literally exactly as you are. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm an open book. Like I am who I am. And so anyways, that was really good. And what I noticed there though was like, even though our conversation was really good, it wasn't as like funny back and forth, you know? And maybe because it was lunchtime, like we did have some jokes, but like the banter wasn't as good. Like I appreciate also when like somebody can make fun of me and we were able to like dish it back and forth where I'm like, eventually, obviously, if you're someone's girlfriend, I don't want that. Like I want you to be different, you know, like treat me special a little, like not like a sister or a friend. Because obviously that didn't work in my last relationship. But yeah, it was just really good. And I was able to just see the contrast of the two people and like our different conversations and like how I felt energetically around each of them. And that's something that I feel like was good because it's like, I honestly was, I've thought about this a couple times. Like, do I get pulled to certain people because it's like your trauma bonds? You know how you hear about that? Or is it genuine good? You can feel their heart and their connection. And I just felt so good with Austin date number one. Okay. So then I went to the lunch date. That was fine, but I didn't feel any pull to like hang out with him again. And date number one, who I hung out with till 2 a.m., I did. And I was like, okay, I want to hang out with you again. And so we almost hung out the next night. But then it was getting late and I was like, he said an hour. It was after an hour. And I was like, I'm going to be firm with my time because like, no, like you can't tell me an hour and then be late. Like no. So I was like, I'm going to bed. You can text me tomorrow kind of thing. And like, maybe we'll see if we can make something work. And so we did, we ended up hanging out again. So that was fun. And yeah, it was good. Like I got to hang out with him again, which was super fun. He came and met me and my friend at Juiceland, which it was cool because she met him and she was like, this guy is so fucking cool. And I was like, okay, you have a cool read on him too, which is great. And like they were able to talk and have a conversation the whole time. And then yeah, and then we hung out. So it was funny because it was after the mushroom journey, okay? And basically, remember how if you guys have listened to that episode, my friend had told me, okay, so this is the guy, the one that I ended up going on a date with when I was negotiating with my future husband. And I was like, but you're not here now. Do you care if I sleep with anyone? And he was like, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine. And then eventually was like, oh, fine. Like you can do whatever you want. Cause like, I know you're mine anyways. And so it was negotiating about this. I was like, do you care if I sleep with him? Cause I knew I wanted to. And, anyways, yeah. So we ended up hanging out and I was like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to go back to the hotel or like go to another bar? And he's like, let's go back to the hotel. And I was like, do you want to go to the pool bar? Or do you want to go to my room and eat popcorn? And he's like, let's go to your room and eat popcorn. Because the night before he was going to come over and watch movies. And then it was too late. And I was like, I need to get up early. No. So I had ordered popcorn. And then he was like, okay, let's go to your hotel room. So we did. And we like hung out, laid there, talked about a bunch of stuff. He asked me what my deepest fear was. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, that's a tough one. And I was like, I think it's honestly to like not live out the relationship I know can be created or like end up alone. Even though I know that won't happen, like I don't want to feel alone. I want to feel the connection and have the relationship I know that can be cultivated and exist. And so I was like, I feel like that's like my deepest personal fear. And his was like that I'd never find my true purpose where I feel fully in my calling, which again, really important. Like for a guy, so important that they have that. Like they're on mission and working toward a purpose and like feel like they're in a calling, or else the rest of your life is going to be messed up. And so I know how important that is. And so I'm like, that's so good that he's like on track to find that. Even if maybe what he's doing right now isn't like his be all end all, you know? And yeah, so we laid in bed and we hung out, and then all the things happened. And I basically wrote an erotic novel about it in my notes because I like to remember stuff like this, like the details. And yeah, so remember how the girl at the journey was like, you get to sleep with whoever you want, whenever you want, if it's what your body wants. So I gave my body permission and I said, let's do this. This is fun. So I did. And that was the first person I've ever slept with that wasn't my boyfriend. So fun. Isn't that fun? I kind of want to give you guys the rest of the details too, but then I'm also like, it feels okay. So if it was people just listening to my podcast that know me, it feels safe. But this like going on YouTube feels unsafe. Does that make sense? So yeah, hit me up if you want the dirty deets. But all I will say is it was so good. He took full control of the entire situation, which I love. He was so confident, which I love. I realized for myself, there's still some areas where I'm like, I think I open up more the more I get to know someone. Like, I don't think, and maybe I could get to this point where I could be completely wild and like fully expressed in my first sexual encounter, but I don't know. Like, I think I kind of come out of my shell as I get to know someone better. So yeah, but it was so great and really fun and really good. And yeah, it was just nice. And I was like, it feels really good to have a big back on top of you. That's all I'm going to say. I'm like, I've missed that feeling. So it felt really good. And I was honestly worried after because I was like, what am I going to feel like after? Because like I've never done this with someone who's not my boyfriend or like someone that I know, you know, like we have a deep connection. Like we're basically in a relationship. And so I was like, am I going to feel like shit after? Like, I didn't want that feeling after of being like, oh my God, you're worthless. Like, you just shared sacred energy with like somebody else and you don't even know them and like, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are you going to feel sad that like, if he doesn't text you and like, you know, all those things. And honestly, when he was leaving, I felt sad, but I think it's because I knew I had to leave Austin the next day. And I was like, I actually like you. Like, I would totally hang out with you more. And so I was just sad to be leaving Austin. But it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so sad about him. Like I didn't feel that at all. And the next day, honestly, I actually felt like good. I didn't have any weird feelings about it or feeling sad about it. And even like him being like, okay, I have to go now. I'm like, I've never had that. I've only ever had sleepovers right after. So like I was calling my friend and she's like, no, it's normal like dating etiquette. I'm like, this is so weird because I've only ever had boyfriends. So I'm like, we always have sleepovers. Like if we're by the time we're sleeping together, we're having sleepovers, you know? So that part was so different and weird that I was like, okay, whatever. But then we texted since and whatever. And so I appreciate his texting communication. I really appreciated how he could vibe with my friends. There was just so much that I really like about him. And what I'll say is this is the first time I'm not obsessing. So like with every other situation in all of my past relationships, it's like my eyes are set on one. I've chosen you, like you're going to be mine. And now we're going to date. And I've created a story about how our whole life is going to unfold together. And I haven't done that with this guy. And I honestly, he hasn't really given me anything that's like red flag vibes, where like I had noticed some about the other two guys right away. And I don't know right now if there's anything I'd say that is like I don't know about that. Um, yeah, like there was nothing that I could really say in that regard. So, but this is the first time I'm not obsessed. And I had told my friend that, and she was like, well, I'm obsessed with him. Like, he's the coolest ever. And I was like, yeah, but for me, this is really good because I get like so locked in where right now I'm like, I just feel like I'm so allowing, like, whatever's supposed to happen will, if we're supposed to keep connecting and like go deeper into a relationship, not even like a partnership, boyfriend, girlfriend, but like just deepen our connection. Cool. If we're not, cool. Like, I'm so open to just see wherever it's supposed to go. And I think this comes from the full faith and trust that like I know the person I'm supposed to be with exists. Like that timeline it already exists. I know exactly what it looks like. And I'm just like living in all of these things that I have to experience and have happen before I meet him and I'm with him. So I'm like, whether it could be this guy or it could not, like I'm just like, I don't know. And I'm cool with whatever happens. And I think when you can get to that place in dating where you're not just like, is this him? Is this him? Is this the one? Like, oh my God, I've thought about marrying him and this is how this would go and this would go and this would go. And like you're obsessing over like when they're going to text you or when they're going to message you or like if they're going to like you. Like I know for me, I'm like, obviously you want to feel like wanted and chosen and like they're in love with you. Like obviously all those feelings feel good. Um, but I don't know. I just think I used to do that with every partnership and relationship, and it feels really good to not be obsessing over any of it. I'm like, it just is what it is, and if we text, cool. And I know some people have said like after they end up sleeping with someone, the guy never really texts them after that, and he's been so good. Like he has not made me feel any kind of way about that. Um, and if anything, I'm like, I can recommend. I don't know. I'm just like, it's cool. We could end up being friends or not. So, I guess just to end, I will say, and then I also had another guy pick me up from the airport and we tried to hang out again, but it just like, it was so jam packed. I was like, I couldn't fit it in. And that's something else I want to say is that, we only hung out for 20 minutes. He drove me to my hotel. I'd never met him before. He just picked me up because he was like, I don't want you like not having a ride from the airport. I was like, thank you. That's so sweet of you. Like, yes, I will receive this because I'm in receiving mode because I'm a girl. And so say yes when people want to do things for you. Right. And so he picked me up from the airport. And then part of me was like, oh, I feel like I need to hang out with him again because like he just did this for me, but I should go on a date with him. And I was like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And like, that's okay. And so he tried to set things up a couple times, but like I ended up going on a date with obviously date number one and it went well and I wanted to see him again. So I did. And it's like not feeling bad about just doing what you want to do. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I'm just learning to choose what I want rather than putting some guy's needs above mine and like what I think I should do for them to make them feel good. It's like, no, this is my era and time to like actually do what I feel like doing for me as I get to know people, right? And understanding that like you're the prize, like you're the one that they should be wanting to date and wanting to see. And that's the whole goal, right? And not even a goal, but like as men, they need to like pursue you. So let them pursue you. And you don't owe them anything, you know? And like if you can do it from an empowered place, like I didn't end up sleeping out with him out of like, oh, I think I should because then he'll feel more connected to me and he'll feel more this and like maybe he'll like me. Like I didn't do it from that. I did it from this is something I want to do. And I was literally thinking about it and I'm making this choice from such a different place. And I'm so glad. Like it was so good. Um, So, and my body like felt so good to like be with a man. I was like, this feels really nice. So, yeah, it had been a really long time, guys. This is the longest I'd ever gone without sleeping with someone because I had boyfriends back to back my whole life. So, yeah, that was from June till now. It's March. That's a really long time. And who knows if I'll choose to do that with anyone else ever again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. So, with that, I guess I will just end by saying, I think it's like drop the shade. right? Like I could hold shame. And this is why I wanted to do this podcast and share this, because I think there's so much shame sometimes about like who you decide to sleep with or how you decide to sleep with someone, or like if you should kiss them, if you shouldn't kiss them. It's like, do what your body feels. My body was like, yes, this is a yes for you. And I asked myself, I didn't just do it on impulse the first night when I was like, I could totally like bang this guy right now. I didn't do it then, but I had told him after, I was like, I literally would have slept with you. And that's crazy for me because I've never felt that. And so he was like, I'm so glad I could make you feel so safe. And I was like, you really did. Like you really made me feel like I could be open and safe. And I appreciate that. Um, and so I would just say, like, you've got to listen to your body, and like, it doesn't have to be on impulse, but if you feel good about it, it's okay. Like, we don't need to carry shame about this kind of stuff. And there are going to be some people who things go further with and other people where it doesn't. And just be open to the experience of dating, you know? And like, for me, I've never had that happen before. So new experiences. It was really fun. Maybe I'll do another episode about sex one time and give you guys the details, but it was fun. So I guess how I'll end this is be willing to be open, be willing to allow, be willing to receive, and just trust that, like, if this is your first time dating, if something doesn't feel good to you, you can say no. If someone's trying to meet up with you and you don't feel the pull, you can say no. If you feel more pulled to one person, it's okay. Like, just go where you feel pulled to and go without the expectation of it being anything. Like, I went on that date and I'm like, this literally could be nothing. And I'm okay with it versus being obsessed about making it a thing, you know? And I'm like, if it's supposed to be a thing, like for me, the way I see it is like my husband, the person I'm supposed to marry, is going to know I'm supposed to be their wife. Maybe not immediately, but as he gets to know me, he's like, I need this person in my life forever. And great. So until that happens, I'm like, I'm just going to exist and like go have experiences. And then when that happens, it happens. And I think I need to learn more through dating and myself before that relationship can come to fruition. And I feel like it's soon. Like it could be within the next 1 to 3 years. So, and then that's going to be the person I'm with forever. So I may as well like explore and get to know myself and get to know other people now. So I hope that was helpful. Cheers to all of you guys on your dating journeys, or cheers, or what would you say? Like, I don't know. Best of luck. I don't even know. Just like have fun with it. Let yourself be free. Enjoy it. And just don't lose yourself along the way. Like, I think if you start to notice your shape shifting in any dynamic, in how you speak, in how you act, in how you show up, and if you change what you're posting on social media, if you're trying to gain their attention, like just pay attention to that kind of stuff. Because if that's already happening, like what is going to happen to you in that relationship? And for me, it feels really good to just literally show up as I am and not feel like I need to change a single thing to try to get attention, you know? So that's all. Have fun on your dating journeys. And I'm so glad that I could share some of mine with you. I'll keep you guys posted where anything goes. And if I ever go on another date, like it could be, my first one was 2 months ago. So I'm like, there's other guys I've met that have like been trying to pursue me. But another thing that I just want to say, like one of them was like, do you have Snapchat? And I'm like, ew, like, why are you asking me for my Snapchat? Like, no, I'm not the girl for that. He's an NFL player. And I was like, no, like just because you have that role, like I'm not, no. So again, like knowing your worth and your value so to your core that even if some guy that like, you know, has status comes in, you're not shape shifting for him. Like I'm literally exactly who I am, and I'm not gonna bend on any of those things just because some guy with status walks into my life, you know? So, okay, love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. That's my little date update. There's so many, I always realize after there's so many other details I could give you, but hope that was enough while being respectful of all the things. Okay, talk to you soon.